Every month, the world spins a little faster. Headlines blur, crises escalate, and it's easy to feel like it's all falling apart. But studies show that positive thinking doesn't just boost morale, it sharpens focus and helps us act. So let's pause, zoom out, and look at what really happened this month: the good, the bad, and the silver linings hiding in the chaos. This is your global recap of the major news headlines for April 2025. Starting with politics and conflict, of course, we have to mention Israel and Hamas. Ceasefire talks are still stuck while Gaza's humanitarian crisis is only getting worse. The UN is warning that the famine in the north is now a very real and a very imminent threat. Just a quick reminder, this all began in October 2023 when Hamas launched a massive attack on Israel, after which Israel killed thousands of civilians and displaced millions of people. So what could be positive here, you might ask? Well, to be honest, I struggled with this one, but there is some movement. Egypt and Qatar are back engaging in the game of shuttle diplomacy, and ceasefire talks are kind of breathing again. Just barely, but hey, hope is hope. We're not off to a great start, but let's continue. When it comes to Ukraine war, Russia pushed hard in Donetsk this month, but Ukraine held firm, partly thanks to the chunky UK defense loan and to the new EU support. But here's the interesting part. Ceasefire talks actually started with the help of Turkey and even the Vatican. The fact that anyone is even saying the word ceasefire out loud is a good sign. There are no guarantees, just like we're seeing now with Palestine, but it is indeed a crack of light in a very, very dark tunnel. And of course, we have to mention the Sudan Civil War. A year into one of the world's deadliest conflicts, the paramilitary group RSF made major gains in Darfur. We're witnessing ethnic violence and famine surging. And just a little bit of context, the war that has sparked between the government army and the paramilitary group RSF has killed thousands of people and displaced millions. But the talks are back on in Ethiopia, with the African Union stepping up, and regional leaders are pushing more and more for humanitarian corridors, which is about time. Another major topic in politics and conflict is the Taiwan Strait tensions. In April, China conducted the biggest military drills around Taiwan right after a US Senate group showed up in Taipei. Not a coincidence. Just a little bit of context, China claims Taiwan as its own, while the US strongly supports Taipei's autonomy. Well, the good news is that Japan, South Korea, and others in the region are calling for calm and actual security dialogue. Let's hope everybody listens. When it comes to economics, the IMF gave us not so springy news for the spring 2025 forecast. Apparently, the global growth is slowing down to 2.7%. And we can blame this on trade tariffs, high interest rates, and overall economic anxiety. Fun times. But not everywhere is so gloomy. Southeast Asia and East Africa are staying resilient, riding on the waves of digital innovation and smart policy. And if we actually think about it, do we really need constant high economic growth, especially if it's at the detriment of our environment? Maybe not. A crucial milestone, the EU just dropped the world's first proper AI law, the AI Act. It classifies AI by risk levels and bans that creepy surveillance stuff. This is huge, and it's setting the tone for the global AI ethics. Cheers to the EU being one of the only sane global leaders left. On the topic of climate, April smashed heat records in South Asia and Sahel. Crops are suffering, water is scarce, and climate scientists are officially out of synonyms for the word unprecedented. But at least it's triggering action. India, Senegal, and many other countries are rolling out heat plans and green investments. It's not enough yet, but it's something. On the other side of the world, Greenland's ice is melting fast. A huge study showed that Greenland's ice sheet is vanishing quicker than expected, and we're now looking at sea levels rising up to a meter by 2100. The silver lining here is urgency. The topic of climate finance is climbing back to the top of the agenda ahead of COP29. It's a melting crisis, but it could also be a melting point for action. And speaking of action, major climate lawsuits kicked off in the US, Brazil, and the Philippines. I also wanted to touch upon some social issues. In April, we witnessed major migration crackdowns. The US, UK, and parts of Europe tightened immigration policies, and people aren't taking it quietly. There have been major protests, civil pushback, and lawsuits. All of this is mainly happening in the context of rising far-right pressure, plus record global displacements caused by wars and climate change. The good news is that some courts are already striking these laws down, while human rights groups are getting louder and more organized. When it comes to the women's rights in Afghanistan, it got worse again. In April, the Taliban restricted women's access to healthcare and shut down more girls' schools in rural areas. Since 2021, it's been only a steep, brutal decline, which is just terrible to see. But still, Afghan women aren't giving up. A new UN program is supporting underground education initiatives as well as healthcare programs that are led by Afghan women themselves. They're truly quiet heroes with very loud impact. Some quick honorable mentions. In Haiti, Port-au-Prince is still in crisis with gangs holding control despite international aid. When it comes to the Iran-Israel conflict, April stayed tense but quiet. There were no new major strikes. We have some good news from the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. The deforestation in Brazil dropped by 36% from last year. Apart from that, the global renewable energy investment has hit the record high in the first quarter of this year, with over $400 billion led by the solar expansion in China, India, and the EU. We also have some great news in global healthcare. WHO began distributing the new R21 malaria vaccine in several African countries, which is expected to benefit millions of children by the year's end. Finally, in Colombia, government negotiations resumed with the rebels from the ELN paramilitary group, which raises hope for lasting peace and security in the country. And that's it for the positive April 2025 news recap. Let me know in the comments if I missed any major news headlines. I'm sure there's a lot happening. The world is so big. I'm aiming to spark some hope and positivity amidst the global chaos, and I hope this video helped at least a little bit with that. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye!